What year is it that you moved to Los Angeles?
Ooh, I came to Los Angeles 2 times. First, I think in 1985, and then permanently in 1986, something like that.
So in 1985, you just came to kind of check it out and scope it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember being so disappointed. We had read all this stuff about Van Halen, played Guitarist and all this stuff. And so we drove 6 days across the country, me and my friend. And the first place we went, as soon as we got in LA, we went right to Guitarist. And we went and we paid the money. We got in there. There were probably like 3 people in there, and it was like this band. I don't remember if they were good or bad, but we were just like, this is it. It was, But then eventually, then all of a sudden, the Strip came alive, and it was like, oh, this is it. The Whiskey a Go Go, all of that stuff.
For one, you're walking in or coming in right at that almost the height of glam. You got Poison, and then even Motley Crue had gone super glam. And then right after that, by 87, with Guns N' Roses, it started to crash and everybody toned down.
Yeah, I mean, look, everybody, Pantera included, everybody had some sort of hairspray put in their hair, guy liner or whatever they were doing that. We were never a hair band, ever. We could never fit in with that, because our influence, I think we first came out, is pretty clear. I mean, the first Impellitterri Black EP that we did, me and Rob, I mean, it was really, I don't know, we were trying to be like Judas Priest, Iron Maiden on steroids with Vivaldi playing guitar, not to dismiss someone like Yngwie, who I love, by the way, but it was really to be more like that. And then when we did the Stand in Line record with Graham Bond, it was much more of an homage, more to like Rainbow or Deep Purple. So at that time, it was odd because, the bands like Poison were huge. And it was very much that type of music, which we didn't fit in. We fit in great with Japan and Europe. In America, they embraced us to a degree. They played us a lot on MTV, and I did the Headbangers Ball thing or whatever, so they definitely helped. But we were never really part of that crowd. But it was a fun time, I'll say that. I do remember it very well. But it's interesting. I don't think anybody was really trying to be glam when you had like the leather pants on or the spandex or whatever they were wearing, because you got to think that's what Van Halen were wearing. I never considered Van Halen a hair band, I always thought they were just great musicians and brought the party every night. And I think, if anything, that probably it probably influenced us the way we probably all at least dressed during that period of time. But the hairband thing, that went to a whole nother realm. That was more about, it was solely about image. Albeit, as I've gotten older, to be honest, I actually find that I actually like a lot of Poison stuff. I realize it was much better than I remembered.
For one, with Yngwie, since you mentioned him, I'd just love to know your opinion on it. But Yngwie came out. He blew my mind. I had the Steeler record and couldn't even believe what I was hearing. But now a lot of people can copy him. So you see even YouTube guitarists that can copy him, and they're all over the place. But it seemed like from that point he came out, which is, I got wind of him maybe 83. But it seemed to take about 4 or 5 years before people kind of caught up to him. Do you agree with that?
I don't know. I can tell you, it's funny. When I started doing the speed thing, obviously I had already seen people like John McLaughlin and Al Di Meola. I mean, those guys were as fast as you're ever going to get. Not to deviate from Yngwie for a sec, but the guy who actually got me into it, there was a guy, he was like a hometown legend in Connecticut. His name was Jimi Bell. He's still alive, and he's still a phenomenal player. Jimmy was a left-handed guitar player, and he was like this person you always heard rumors of. He was kind of like what Yngwie, I guess, accomplished in L.A. Jimmy was already there first. Jimmy was older than Yngwie. Jimmy could do anything Yngwie could do, and probably far more. And I mean that with respect. Jimmy was insane and still is a great player. And I used to sneak into clubs and watch him play, and oh my God, your mouth would just drop. He was so fast. And he could play all the diminished or harmonic minor and all of that stuff. So what's sad is he didn't get the credit. If you ask guys like Tony McAlpine, all those guys, we all knew Jimmy. Jimmy was a legend, right? He was the one that, remember, we didn't have YouTube in those days, so we had to go watch people like him. And then eventually he would come see me play because he liked me, and he would hang out in the dressing room, and him and I would play guitar. Of course, he had to bring his because he was a left-hander. And I would learn from him, literally, almost like I was taking lessons from him. Like I say, he was doing the stuff probably in the late 70s before Yngwie wouldn't come out for 3 or 4 more years. But having said that, I don't know when I got exposed to Yngwie. It was probably in was it 83 or 84, somewhere around there. And I remember my first impression was, wow, this is amazing. This is like Uli Jon Roth just went a little farther. Because remember, Uli was already doing all of this. He was doing the harmonic minor stuff, not to diminish what Yngwie's doing, but remember, Uli was also playing that white scallop Stratocaster in the late 70s. And he was doing the harmonic minor and the diminished scales and Vivaldi. It was already being done, folks. But when I heard Yngwie, I was like, oh, that's like Uli, just going faster. And I loved Yngwie's. His vibrato was fantastic, very melodic. It's almost like he incorporated Uli, a little bit more Schenker, because Schenker has that Uli vibe at times as well. But anyways, forgive me, your question about did it take years to evolve? I don't remember, because at this point, we were all kind of playing like that. We're like in the 83, 84 realm, and the East Coast guys, at least guys like me, we're kind of being influenced by Jimi Bell, who was already doing that stuff. So the LA scene, because I didn't get here till 85 or 86, by the time I got here, it's still, actually, yeah, you're right, it still wasn't dominant. It was still, there were a lot of guys playing more of the pentatonic kind of stuff for the most part. Probably by 86, late 86 or 87, now everybody seems to be chasing that.
I'd read something that there was some tension.
I never had a problem with the guy. I always respected him.
Have you met him?
I certainly know over the years I've been called an Yngwie clone or wannabe or whatever, which I always kind of laugh at. And I'm sorry, what was your question? You just said something.
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt, but have you met him?
I have, I believe. I think I met him one time. And I remember someone said something about it. He goes, yeah, he thought you were arrogant. And I was like, I probably said, dude, it's like, love your playing, but it's like every time I do something, I feel like I get compared to you. And then I was probably trying to bring in the thing about, have you heard of Jimi Bell? But anyways, yeah, I've never met the guy. I mean, if I met him, it was probably very briefly. And I think I'm incorrect about that. I think I did meet him one time. But that's it.
Okay. And so...
And it's hard, because at a certain point it becomes irritating when people keep saying, oh, you're Yngwie wannabe, or they keep comparing you to him, because it's like, I'm laughing going, well, of course, any great guitar player out there, I promise you, in some way has influenced me. But to say I'm an Yngwie clone, that was one of the problems I had in the 80s, early 80s. That's extremely disrespectful to Eddie Van Halen, Al Di Meola, John McLaughlin, Jimi Bell, big time Jimi Bell, and even guys like Steve Morse. When I play, it's like, sure, I play fast, but they were saying stuff where it got irritating. They were like, yeah, it's like, look at him and stand in line. He's an Yngwie wannabe. And I'm laughing going, all right, let's dissect and analyze that. If anybody paid close attention, I'm playing a Ritchie Blackmore Stratocaster in that video. The white boots and the whole black thing is all modeled after Deep Purple, after Ritchie Blackmore. So I'm thinking, if you're saying I'm plagiarizing someone, maybe you want to look at the person you're saying I'm plagiarizing, because it seems to me that person might be plagiarizing someone else.
Is Jimi Bell playing with anybody?
I think the last I knew, he was playing with House of Lords.
That's what I kept thinking the whole time when you said that, because I just interviewed James Christian on Friday, and I was thinking, man, that seems like that was the name of the guitar player, but that's weird because there's a lot of parallels there beyond that. I was like, man, you're from Connecticut, so is he. And then I look up like Grin and Barrett, you have Chuck Wright and Ken Mary. So is that somebody you know? Do you know James from back then?
Yeah, actually, James sang background vocals on our Answer to the Master record, and he did a great job. That was when he was in the band House of Lords. I knew it. I originally did House of Lords as a favor because Chuck Wright, and at that time there was a keyboard player named Greg Giuffria. They were friends of mine. Chuck was on the Stand in Line record. Greg would always come in and hang out with us at rehearsal, and he really liked the band. And so I did a favor to him, meaning Chuck, Greg, and Gene Simmons, because it was Gene Simmons' label. And I played on the title track, I think it was called Sahara, just the opening really fast solo. But
wow.
If you want to kind of see, Jimi, first of all, go YouTube, Jimi Bell, guitar solo. Make sure that you pull someone up that's a left-handed guitar player. Almost looks a bit like Nikki Sixx, but insane talented player.